Hello, everybody. Bonjour, Jambo, Bawo. Thank you for joining us as we celebrate International Women's Month. My name is Dr. Alistair Mokoena. I'm the Country Director for Google in South Africa. As Google, we are passionate about supporting small businesses and are especially cognizant of the role that women play in entrepreneurship on the continent. Research shows that 90% of all businesses in Africa are SMEs or small businesses, and 60% of those are women run. To discuss ways to create an ecosystem that supports small business in Africa, I'm joined today by Ms. Yacine Fal from the African Development Bank Group. She's currently the Director General in the Cabinet Office of the President, as well as the Acting Vice President, Regional Development, Integration and Business Delivery. Ms. Yacine Fal, welcome.
Thank you, Alistair. Good morning, bonjour.
Good morning. First things first, please briefly tell us about your background and your career journey to date.
Look, thank you for having me, Alistair. Actually, I am very close to 24 years in the African Development Bank. My background is I'm a lawyer by training, and I joined the bank more than 24 years ago as in the legal department, and I grew through the ranks of the African Development Bank and spent about 8 years as a manager of the procurement in the procurement department, overseeing the procurement processes under bank finance project across the continent. And then in the last 7 years, I worked in country offices, mainly in North Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, overseeing bank activities in across North Africa. And just about 18 months ago, I came back to HQ as Director General of the President's Cabinet Office, and very recently as Acting Vice President for Regional Development, Integration, and Business Delivery.
Wow, that's an incredible journey. Just out of curiosity, have there been any major female influences in your journey or people that inspire you?
Oh, yes, there are many of them. But I always say the starting point, the major character is my mother. Although she's not a career woman, she influenced my career, my choice, my professional choices, because although she of course she's literate, but she didn't go to the university, but she has a solid personality, and she also has a very broad culture and passion about Africa, and she has very deep historical knowledge. She has traveled across the continent with my father, and she has an excellent knowledge of the history, the political journey of our continent, and probably that has influenced me a lot. My professional choices and my passion for working on the development of our continent.
Wow, fantastic! There's nothing like the role of a mother in shaping our future journeys. So maybe let's turn our attention to the African Development Bank and maybe share with us the perspective of the bank on the role of small business in the continent in driving economic growth.
Actually, clearly, it is now let's say understood across the board that the African continent's development, the African continent economic and social transformation will be highly dependent on the development of small businesses from a macroeconomic point of view, and also in order to make sure that the Africa creates the jobs that are needed to, of course, for the well-being development of the African people, and also for the overall economic growth of the continent. So obviously, what we are trying to do from the African Development Bank's perspective, and also my experience in procurement of goods, works, and services required to execute projects funded by the African Development Bank, definitely small businesses are at the heart of our development pathway.
You know, we hear a lot of people talk about this concept of inclusive growth, which is about bringing everybody into the fold and not leaving anybody behind. Maybe just give us a sense of how you feel the continent is doing in terms of driving inclusive growth.
At least the first step is being aware of the importance of ensuring that nobody is left behind. We all know that our continent, in only a couple of years ahead, is going to be the continent with the largest and the youngest population. And that is something that should guide our strategies, our policies, and that should attract all our focus in terms of public sector, private sectors, strategies, and journeys. So definitely it is very important that we converge in creating this critical mass of economic actors and mostly around the young entrepreneurs and the women and all those who have not been fully embraced in shaping our societies in the last 50, 60 years. And I'm using that parameters, which is the reference in terms of most African countries gaining independence and shaping their own future.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more with you. And, you know, we say that of the small businesses on the continent, at least 60% are women-run, and we know that entrepreneurs face challenges. So perhaps maybe just share with us from your own personal experience and from the perspective of the African Development Bank, what are some of the typical challenges that African women who are entrepreneurs face on the continent?
First, it is clear that African women, although produce about 60 to 70% of first the food. African women feed the continent. They are critical central actors in intra-African trade in terms of commodities, goods, etc. But it is now understood that there is a $32 billion financing gap in order to ensure that women run businesses are able to grow, to be even sustainable, and to play the critical role we expect in shaping our countries. And therefore, there is a need to fill this gap, financing gap, but also other ensuring that there is a conducive environment for these businesses to strive, and that is highly dependent on enhancing their skills, their potential, and their ability to meet all the requirements that the financial intermediaries request for them to access the resources, and also ensuring that governments put these the required policies and fully integrate the development of women-run businesses in their policies as priorities.
Okay, you know, one of my favorite African expressions is that it takes a village to raise a child. So I like what you're saying about this notion of there's an ecosystem of partners. So perhaps talk to us about, the role of public-private partnerships in helping improve the situation of African women entrepreneurs. What should corporates be doing? What conversations should they be having with governments?
Sure, it is a generic effort. All stakeholders must be. Of course, there is a critical, I already spoke about the role of governments and public policies, but there is also the role of the private sector. Obviously, for small businesses to grow, they need to have a market, to have business partners, to sell their products, and that is where, like you said, the private sectors, the supply chain, the value chain has to integrate those businesses, and also the way financial intermediaries do not only define the risks associated with providing financing to those women-led small businesses, including the requirements in terms of collaterals, in terms of business and financial information, and everything, and more critically, the importance of land and property documentation that a lot of inherited legislation hampers, in the sense that in many countries still women are not able to have to register properties and get and are not able to provide the collaterals that are the classical way of securing the credit and the financing that they need to run and develop their businesses.
Okay, and we often say that Africa is brilliant and Africa has a lot of brilliant opportunities. And I think what we're starting to see now is increased investment, particularly in the startup ecosystem space. So, if I'm a corporate or private sector entity wanting to invest in this space, do you have any advice for me in terms of what are maybe one or two key needs of women entrepreneurs on the continent? What do they really need the most?
You need, of course, soft skills, a mindset, and I'm not sure that this mindset is missing, because African women are used to fight for what they want to achieve. So they are used to having hurdles. The thing is, they need information. They need to understand what is available to them. They need to be trained on the skills that the set of skills that they don't have, because they don't know. They have not been educated or trained for those. And this is why the African Development Bank has launched a flagship initiative that we like to call AFAWA, Affirmative Finance Action for Women in Africa. And the novelty with AFAWA is that we are trying to touch on this kind of value chain ecosystem that is missing to help. First, access to finance, providing financial products, and complement the available financial product and services. The second is to provide technical assistance and training on both sides. On the one hand, provide training and technical assistance to the business women themselves, but also to the financial service providers to know how to be more responsive to the needs that those women and their businesses are, and be able to also change their perspective as to how can they provide those financial services. And the third, which I mentioned, is how can government change their policies to bring about a conducive business environment to get those the businesses that women are running to start, to grow, and to thrive.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you to imagine that you are speaking to a younger Yacine who's just left university. She's thinking about life and her career, and she's not thinking of a law career. She's thinking of getting into business and becoming an entrepreneur. And I'd love to know, what kind of advice would you give your younger self, knowing what you know today, right? Knowing the kind of challenges African women entrepreneurs face, knowing the opportunities that exist, knowing some of the help that exists for small business. What advice would you give that young lady who's about to get into business on the continent and is wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, and she's looking for a mentor to say, take cognizance of X, Y, and Z?
Yeah. Actually, I would say that although there are still a lot of ground to cover, there's a lot of opportunities out there. Opportunities for business, opportunities to access the required toolkits that you need. Obviously, digital. Let's say if today I want to run a business that will require me to go to a remote market to bring my products in some places, I just need, with my phone, with my digital device, I can run my business from where I am. I need information on how to, where to, and with who, just by using my phone. So make the most of the tools that you have available right now. And I even those trainings, I don't need to go somewhere to get those training and do this information. And also make the most of the platforms you have to express your needs, your challenges, and to share with peers, with counterparts, and with more experienced stakeholders around you and even remote from you. And I'm sure if you make the most of this, you can only succeed.
Oh, fantastic. I love those pearls of wisdom. And perhaps my final question to you, Ms. Fal, this morning is, what is your vision for SMBs in Africa? What is your desire, your hope, your prayer for small business in Africa?
I think maybe what is needs to be pushed further is first, when we talk about the importance of empowering women entrepreneurs, and also ensuring that they are part and parcel of the economic and social environment, it is important that government really genuinely adopt national policies and strategies to help these women and create that environment that it has to be a priority, not just ensuring that we make up for the gap that they are facing. So I think it's important that government genuinely and massively invests in pushing those businesses and the creativity, and put these women in a position for them to generate this wealth, this growth, contribute 100% to the growth of in their respective sectors, country, and regions.
Ms. Fal, thank you so much for this wonderful conversation. It's been lovely hearing your insights and perspectives, and I'm sure that small business owners out there are listening and they will benefit greatly from our conversation. So from us at Google, thank you very much for celebrating International Women's Month with us. We really appreciate it. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much, Alistair. It was a pleasure chatting with you. And but I'm sure you will have millions and millions of young and less young African women that will really receive the call and respond to the call, and make our continent make the most of our very rich continent in the near and further future.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, there was Ms. Yacine Fal sharing perspective with us, and she's from the African Development Bank. Thank you for joining us today. Goodbye.
Thank you, Alistair.